Okay, Sam and Pam, welcome to Belarus. Welcome to Grodno.
Thank you.
I'll have the first question. How did this trip come about? How did you decide to come to Belarus? Where originally what the idea came from? Have you been to Belarus before or not?
We've never been to Belarus or to this particular area of Eastern Europe.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to Poland, Romania, but this seemed to be next. And tell us why Belarus?
Well, I always wanted, we planned a trip through the Baltic countries, and our first stop was Vilnius, Lithuania. And my grandparents immigrated to America from Grodno, which was just about an hour over the border. I mean, directly, if you could go directly. And it seemed logical to come here and see the town where my grandparents lived before they immigrated.
Oh, I'm very pleased you have roots from the area. How did you find about the Together Plan? How did you come by the Together Plan and refer to the Together Plan for assistance in your trip?
Well, because I have been doing a lot of Jewish genealogy. I read about some workshops and some work being done by the Together Plan about Belarus. And so I saw that on the Jewish Gen website. And I thought, okay, I bet they could help us figure out how to get there, how to get around in Belarus. And so I reached out to the Together Plan.
What's your overall experience with the Together Plan on assisting with your trip, with the logistics, with visas, with bus tickets, with guides? Tell us more about how you feel about this experience.
It's gone very smoothly. The whole process was very smooth. Getting the visas, being walked step by step through it, everything worked very well, very quickly. I was amazed at how quickly we got the visa after we sent it off to Washington. It came back in the mail before I was even before I really was ready to check whether it's whether they received it. So that part really went well. Likewise, working with you over Zoom, going step by step to getting our hotel accommodation, getting the bus tickets, arranging for a guide, all of that fell into place, and we felt comfortable and prepared for coming here. And that's despite the fact that we arrived after a very long day and a half of travel with some challenges on our own
on your road, on your flight,
on the flights.
And I would like to add, I really appreciated having all the paperwork just in case, to cross the border, that they would ask for it, which they didn't in our situation, but we had verification of medical insurance, we had your organization's paperwork. What else do we have that we brought over?
So to be on the safe side, basically.
Yeah.
What about the bus from Vilnius as soon as you arrived and coming to over the border and coming to Ashmyany? How was this experience? Was it easy? Was it all sort of on a quiet side? Did you have any problems?
We had no problems. It was we took a cab from our hotel to the bus station.
This is funny. The cab driver in Vilnius kept saying, "Bus? You pointed to a bus on the street. Bus?
But
Like, why would you be taking a bus? You look like you should be have a driver.
a private, yes, yes.
But so we got to the bus station. It was clear where the bus was. We had our seats already. We getting, and the bus was very comfortable. This wasn't like
Okay.
being in a city bus. This was a
So the taxi driver wasn't right. That was
Yeah.
it's a good bus. It's a good buses in Belarus. Very comfortable.
And of course it was very interesting arriving at the border. First you go through the Lithuanian side, and everybody gets out of the bus, and I think we had the passport check there. Went smoothly. Back in the bus, over to the Belarusian side. Everybody out. Everybody gets the luggage. You're kind of crammed in this little room, and one by one go through customs, and we were able to communicate with customs fine, and they asked a couple of questions, but not much, and saw the visas in there, and the whole process, just because of how many people there were, took about 2 hours to make it through the border, but
all went smooth.
it all went smoothly.
Great.
They X-ray your luggage.
Well, usual airport experience.
Right.
I mean, sometimes takes longer in airport. I mean, they give you 2 hours to come before the flight.
Right.
So that's exactly how many hours you've spent at the border.
Yeah.
And then you arrived to Ashmyany, and then you met by our driver, and then
Yes, I would like to say he was a great driver, and he was there,
right.
because people with us on the bus who we met said, "How are you going from Ashmyany to Grodno?" And we said, "A driver, how will you know when he's there? Well, he will have a sign, or he will see us." And it was true. He was there right away, and very welcoming, very good driver. Asked often if we needed a stop for any reason, so.
And it was an interesting drive, seeing the little villages.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then you arrived in Grodno, and so what is your experience so far with area, hotels, places to eat? Did it meet your expectations? Did you expect more, or you expected less? I mean, were you thinking about, how would you survive in that former Soviet Union, coming from a faraway America? What was it like to see it at first glance?
I'd say it exceeded our expectations, because we kind of expected it to look poorer, to look not as finished in a way. We expected to see maybe more presence of police or military or things like that. I don't think we've seen a policeman the entire time.
Well, I mean, we have, but they're not threatening in any way looking, I mean, it's definitely a very safe city to be in.
So they're not grabbing people, or there's
Right.
no bears walking on the street.
Right.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
And it does feel very friendly and very safe. Like you can walk any time of day or night and be fine. And people are so accommodating, even though we don't speak Russian. They tried very hard to communicate with us, and we, of course, used our translation on our phone, and it was great. In fact, they enjoyed dealing with us.
Right. Very, very friendly, very open people. How do you find our Together Plans English-speaking guide? How would you feel about how professionally you were showed around? Asking the questions. What's your view on this angle?
you start.
Okay. I was very pleased. I think we both were. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, Valentina.
Absolutely.
Was, I mean, she's been doing this for a very long time and with many different groups.
Yes.
She also has traveled extensively in Europe, and so she knew different groups would come in, and her, even though English was not her main language, because she deals much more with Russians right now coming through because of the political times we're in, but her English was still very, very good, and she was very sensitive to what we wanted to see, and very knowledgeable, as I said, of Grodno as a town and the history of Grodno.
And she did some research between us talking to her before we came and us getting here. She did some research that would help try to find some connections to Pam's family.
So you're saying you've been in touch with your guide before, right? So
Yes.
did it help? Did it help to build your schedule, to build your places where you wanted to visit? Was it a good move to have a connection to the guide beforehand?
Definitely, because that allowed for her to be able to hone in on what we were interested in, especially in terms of family background, that type of thing.
And not only that, but we had multiple times that we connected with her before we came here. She would say, call or WhatsApp me, text me, what have you, whenever you have a question. And this was before we even got here, you know, and I can see if I can help you out.
Very interesting. Very good. Is there anything out of your 3 days so far that you can specifically sort of admit, or there anything you liked more than something else? Was there any interesting things that happened that you liked the most out of everything you saw? I know it's a very short visit, but was there any highlights of your visit so far?
Well, I think we come from two different perspectives.
Right.
Since
Which is great.
for
Which is very
me,
good.
my perspective is my grandparents, who were not Jewish, but were Roman Catholic. So for me, it was very moving to come here. And even on our drive from Ashmiani to Grodno, to see the villages, the architecture of the old houses that are still standing from the period in the villages and in Grodno, to see the convent school where my grandmother was educated.
Really?
That was part of the St. Brigitte complex church here, and the talk to the priest there about and have a tour through the dormitory areas. Also to go to the church service, the mass at St. Farney Cathedral, to see where my grandparents may have gone to church, was extremely moving. And from your perspective, it's different.
Yeah, of course, walking around and seeing the Jewish streets, the Jewish houses, the synagogues, and certainly this morning talking to the rabbi at the Choral Synagogue. That was just so interesting and fulfilling to get that sense of what it's like to have that sense of history and that sense of rebuilding.
Would you recommend the Together plan for those type of trips? Would you recommend referring to the Together plan based on your experience? Yeah, that's the question I've got. Yeah.
Yes, and certainly for any anybody with heritage from Belarus, and in particular Jewish heritage from Belarus. And I think, we also were able from the Together Plan to really get a sense of the safety of coming to Belarus, because it is something that a lot of people asked us before we came. You're going to Belarus. It sounds dangerous, and we felt, because working together with the Together Plan, we were able to really get a sense that it was a very safe place to come to. And
you felt in safe hands.
Yes.
And absolutely safe. Okay. Would you follow up? Would you be following up the work of the Together Plan, our heritage work? Are you interested in communicating with us and further and in the future? Would you like to find out more about the projects that we do, and would you become one of our friends?
But definitely, I find it fascinating to rebuild the Jewish heritage in this part of Europe. And the projects that you have done, that we've heard about and plan to do, are amazing, really.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Very welcome to come back. As they say next year in Jerusalem, we say next year in Belarus. So you're very welcome. It's a great pleasure having you here. It's a great pleasure to assist you. And it's an honor to have you coming to visit us and coming back to your roots, which is very important. I think that all the people should remember about their roots, because as we say, there is no future without the past, and we have to remember our past. So again, thank you very much for coming, and definitely we'll keep in touch, and we'll see you many more times here in Belarus, in different places, and involved in our projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.